It's time to duel!
What's happening, YouTube? Coming at you guys today with another episode of Duel Disk Creations. Today I'm showing off my Warrock Duel Disk. Now, just like with the Amazonas Duel Disk, this one does have some design flaws that I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about. I'm going to show you also, just like with the Amazonas Duel Disk, some of the inspirations for the creation of this by showing you some of the Warrock cards that I based the Duel Disk off of. And then also, I'm going to show you the functionality of the Duel Disk 2, so you can see how it works, how it plays, and how the cards go in. So, I kind of drew my design inspirations for this Duel Disk from Warrock Mountain, I would say was my main source of inspiration. The Warrock monsters themselves, they do have, I guess, what you would call like a similar design motif. You can see that in a lot of their artworks. They have a lot of, you know, sort of like archaic, like barbarian-esque attire, whether it's leather, you know, a little bit of armor here and there, the weapons that they carry. Basileos and Meteoragon are probably the two most intricate that they have, like very, very not advanced, but just very intricate, design heavy sort of like armor and attachment pieces and accessories, things like that. So it was tough for me to draw on that for the Duel Disk. You guys will see in a little bit when I show you pictures of my cosplay that went with it. It was easy to pull from that to make my cosplay, but as far as the Duel Disk goes, a little bit more complicated. So again, I basically went with sort of like a Warrock Mountain motif. You can kind of tell by the back over here where it's sort of like a cave in the middle with those jagged pointed rocks that you see in a lot of the Warrock monsters art, and also Warrock Mountain kind of coming up along the sides of it here. Every Warrock monster is essentially based off of either an animal or some sort of rock-esque thing. I don't know how else to describe it, but like Fortia is a good example. Fortia, there's no animal basis. You can see on Fortia's tattoos that he has some fire symbols tattooed onto him, but every other Warrock, well, and Wento too, I think is another good example. I think Wento is based on a plant. You can kind of tell by the sort of like green lines going across her, unless a Wento is like a type of dog or something, or like hyena? Not 100% sure. But Orpus is based on a snake. Mahmood obviously is based on a mammoth. Basileos based on Laos, a lion. Meteoragon based on a dragon. Skylar's name doesn't really relate, but you can tell by the wolf pelt. There's a wolf motif there. So one animal that hadn't been used that I think fits very well is a bear. So I went with a bear head with this really cool skull jaw for the deck zone. You can kind of see back here when I hold it on the side. It doesn't show up super well, but you can see the spears that I added behind it. And I did that because when I was looking at the model on Tinkercad, it just seemed like there was a lot of empty space there. These spears were actually pretty tough to add. I used a sort of like epoxy plastic sort of, I don't know how you would describe it, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but I used that to attach the spears, and it gave a pretty stable hold, and I actually feel like it worked really nicely. It kind of looks like almost like mud or cement back there, which again, I think works really nicely with the Warrock motif. For the field zone, I went with an axe blade, Works really well for just fitting like the field zone and the 5 monster zones, and then the spell and trap zones on the bottom, obviously. You know, I don't think a sword was going to work here or anything like that. Bashileos actually carries a really big axe, so I felt like it was cool to kind of pull that design inspiration from him. And then for the arm holders, I went with, again, these kind of like pointed rocks. Maybe a little bit less pointed than the ones that I have going up along the graveyard and deck zone. But I went with a nice red for them. It makes them look kind of like volcanic rocks, or you know, I guess they're not necessarily volcanic, but I don't know if anybody remembers as a kid, like a lot of people in their front yards and stuff, they'd have just like the bed of red rocks. Stylistically, I feel like it's really cool. It matches really nicely with the brown, just gives a little bit of a pop to the cosplay as a whole, and I thought it looked really nice. This Duel Disk is very different from the Amazonas Duel Disk. It's very different from just about any Duel Disk for 2 reasons. The first one that I'll show off to you guys is the way that I designed the life point counter. So again, I wanted to keep that like archaic, ancient kind of motif. You can see over here the numbers going up and down the stones, as well as on the bottom here. You guys are going to see them backwards. They might not look great, and they are supposed to look kind of smudgy, and I did it in red obviously, so it looks kind of like it's written in blood. But then you can see those holes next to it. I didn't get a chance to finish this part, but the idea was to print a small spear that would go into the holes, into the openings, and basically you would just keep that in there as a marker of where your life points are at, and as your life points go down, you would move that spear down and just move it on through. That part may require a little bit of touching up. You can kind of see, I think, if I hold it up real close to the camera, yeah, especially over here, you can see couldn't quite get some of the plastic out of there from when it was done 3D printing. There's some good tools you can buy online for that. I need to look into that. But yeah, I didn't quite get to finish it for that reason as well, because some of these openings probably wouldn't have worked. But I feel like stylistically it was cool, and it's fun to kind of like just paint with my fingers, some red paint on there, almost like it's like a blood cave painting or something like that. So that was really cool. The other thing that makes this Duel Disk different from other Duel Disks is for sure the deck zone. You've got the bear head sitting on top of it. This actually moves and opens up, and you can see in there the deck slot. I was able to hold the cards in a bit better than you would with the Amazonas Duel Disk by adding, you can see that little triangle there. They're pretty deep so you can't see, but I have stoppers on top of the deck zone in general. Yeah, there you go. You can see it back there if I bring that nice and close. Yep, right over there. But somewhat similar to the Amazonas Duel Disk, it's a little bit tough to pull the cards out once they're in, but certainly it's not anywhere near as difficult, and the cards do fit really nice and snug. So that was nice. But it looks cool. It just looks like you're reaching into the mouth of a bear to pull your cards out. Dangerous, exciting, and pretty spooky. So that was really cool. Next, let's talk about some of the design flaws of the Duel Disk. So the way the Duel Disk attaches, you can see it here. And I'm actually not gonna strap it in just because I actually don't know if I can with one hand. These are usually something that you need a second person to help put on. But you guys can see right here, you can see my arm actually fits pretty nicely into the clasps here. Maybe there's a little bit of room with the wrist. It's a little bit open, but it fits around my arm pretty comfortably, I'd say. Like, yeah, here, even if I move it back a little bit, like that's a pretty snug fit with the wrist. You do obviously want a little bit of wiggle room. And then even on the back here, you can see there's not a whole lot of open space there. It fits really nicely. The trouble is, and again, I did print it pretty light, but the arm of the Duel Disk definitely takes up a lot of weight, or it holds a lot of weight. And so even when I would have it strapped in, those straps just go through the bottom here. They do go around the top, like, you know, when they kind of go through those holes here. Let me flip it. There we go. You know, they do press up here, but they needed to really go around the actual top of this piece. So that way it's completely wrapping the entirety of the arm brace and my arm. That would have given it a much better fit. And it's actually a pretty easy fix, but I haven't done it because these straps are the same as the Amazonas Duel Disk straps. You can see they stretch a lot. They're not very durable. These definitely need to be redone. The clips weren't bad, but I just need different straps. And when I get different straps, definitely I think I will wrap through the top of the arch here so that it goes between the arm brace here and the base of the Duel Disk, and that'll hold it to my arm much, much better. The weight of Duel Disks in terms of the field zone always seems to be an issue. Obviously with Andrea's Amazonas Duel Disk, it wasn't really a problem because the Duel Disk was freeform, and similar to my lightweight Duel Disk, there's a handle to hold on to keep that field zone steady. I don't want to have to put a handle on every Duel Disk that I make, but it's tough, you know, without that handle, it's just really difficult to keep things stable. And a lot of times what happens, and you know, again, maybe this wouldn't have happened quite as much if the straps had been, you know, done correctly, if they went through like sort of the top of the arm braces. But what happens is that the Duel Disk just kind of eventually sinks and sinks and sinks. And then you're kind of holding it like this. It doesn't look super great, not that it looks terrible, but there's a reason you can't have a Duel Disk facing straight down like that, and that is because of the monster zones. Now, again, unlike the Amazonas Duel Disk, the monster zones here, I do have them on a slant, so you can see from a side profile here, they do slant inward, which helps them stay in. Like if I hold it straight up and down, that actually stays in pretty well. But at the same time, there's nothing to completely like secure them in place the way the Amazonas Duel Disk had those little triangles that hung over. That's something that maybe I should have considered and included when I was making this Duel Disk, but I don't know, it just didn't seem that it would fit well. I didn't feel that adding that would look good stylistically. I mean, I was trying to come up with ways to make it different from the Amazonas Duel Disk 2. I didn't want to just put more triangles on here to hold them into place. Maybe what I could have done, similar to that kind of like triangle that I have sticking up in the deck zone over here to keep in place, maybe from the base coming up, that would have been a good way to do it. It would have looked very jagged, kind of like teeth. But again, hindsight is 2020. I didn't think of that. I am pretty happy with the way that the field zone came out. That one is a little bit shallow. It doesn't really slant as much as the other ones, but it does look really cool having that War Rock mountain. Oh, actually, no, it does have a little bit of a slant. I think I couldn't slant that one as much because it would have eaten into, there's an opening down there, obviously for the, you know, this part of the axe to insert into, but it does look really cool having War Rock Mountain sitting up there right above all the monsters. And then we have the spell and trap zones. These actually worked out pretty well, I would say. Cards fit in nice. One thing that's always kind of scary is if the cards catch. You don't want your nice holographic expensive cards getting stuck or caught or damaged. That's why whenever I do Duel Disks, obviously I always make them so that they accommodate cards in sleeves so the cards can be protected. But in this case, not really necessary. I mean, they fit in nicely. They go in a decent amount of the way. I think some of them I might, oh, there we go. That one was just stuck a little bit. But yeah, I would say consistency is pretty good too as far as how far the cards insert. You can see that one sliding out a little bit. So, you know, again, those spell and trap zones, they don't normally really hold the cards in exactly as good as you'd like. I don't know what the solution is for that. Somebody might have posted one in the previous Amazonas Duel Disk video, a possible solution that I need to check out and look into. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with aesthetically how everything turned out. You can see that the gray card sleeves look really nice with the silver axe. I guess those are silver card sleeves. Aesthetically, I think that it came out exactly as I wanted it to, similar to the Amazon's Duel Disk. Of course, with Duel Disks, the issue is always going to come down to functionality. That's always going to be the biggest struggle. Some of these pieces I think functionally work better than others. You know, we got the remove from play zone over here. Cards fit in pretty easily there. And then it's got a little lip on it to make sure that they stay in. They're easily removed as well. Nice and simple. Same with the graveyard slot. Just got those two little bumps down at the bottom, hold cards into place. Nice open slot. The cards slide right in. And then, oh, that's catching a little bit. Maybe the graveyard slot's not perfect, but relatively, it's not that difficult. I guess I'm learning now that the field zone doesn't hold the field stall very well. That's a little bit of a bummer. That's a little bit tricky. But with both of these Duel Disks, you know, I started these a year ago, and time was definitely a concern when I was making these. The costumes, I know you guys saw Andreas Amazon's costume. You can see over here my Warrock costume. The costumes I think came out really great. And again, aesthetically, the Duel Disks looked really good. I think if I had had more time, I would have maybe been able to trial and error some of these functional aspects of the Duel Disk a little bit better. And it would have been easier for me to fix that stuff prior to going to the convention. And obviously I would have been able to fix this stuff too before fully painting the Duel Disk. So I don't think I'm really gonna go back with the Amazon's Duel Disk or the Warrock Duel Disk. I don't know. I mean, I would love to use those costumes again, and that's the part that makes me feel like maybe there are some slight tweaks that I could make to make them a little bit better. But man, it was such a time-consuming process. And I do have ideas for other Duel Disks that I'd like to start working on that makes me feel like I don't know if I have the stomach right now to go back to these and tweak them to make them a little bit more effective. The next Duel Disk that I actually want to work on is one that I've drawn up and done a little bit of design work on. But I think what I'd like to do next is show you guys when I'm actually designing it in Tinkercad. And it's a MathMech Duel Disk. I love the art style of the MathMech monsters, just very cool aesthetic design of these like machine warrior type guys with, you know, kind of like some of them have like the flowing capes or just really nice intricate armor. I think that the color schemes work really nicely, like the purple, the silver, the yellow, the red. All of it's really cool, and I have a really cool idea for a very unique MathMech Duel Disk to go with the archetype. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to it. I think that's going to be the next installment in the Duel Disk Creations. But the next thing I'm going to be talking to you guys about after this video, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about Genesis format, and then also I want to go over some drama on a recent APS video that I ran into. So thank you guys so much for watching today. If you like this content, please subscribe, like the video, share the channel with your fellow Yu-Gi-Oh friends. And if there's a Duel Disk that you guys want to see, or if you have some input to offer on some of these custom Duel Disks, please feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.